Okay, so now I'll teach you about the telome theory. Well, basically the telome theory means, 1 minute. Yeah, as I was saying, the telome theory tells us how the leaves, okay, of the higher plants, how they came about, no? So we know, how do I bring this brush? Okay, we know this is the leaf, okay? But they say, the scientists say that they had an ancestor, and this ancestor was a fern-like, okay? It was a fern. So they say that there was a basic fern which was like a V shape like this. And from this, it starts to evolve, you know, it changes in this way, in that way, it changes, and then it keeps on changing and adapting and evolving till it becomes your modern ferns, all right? So there are a number of theories where the land plants evolve, of which the telome theory of Walter Zimmermann is the most comprehensive, okay? And this theory, it's based on fossil record. It's not that Zimmermann just said it by himself, you know. He studied the fossil records. A fossil is an impression, okay? Suppose there was a fern, ancient fern, like millions of years ago, it fell on some peat, okay, means muddy water, muddy swamp, and then with time it solidifies, right? But the leaf has died, but the impression of the leaf, it has stayed, okay? So just like sometimes you used to make an impression, no, on your copy or with your eraser, right? You have written on one side of your paper, when you turn to the next side, you can see the impression, okay? So exactly like that. So this telome theory, it comes from fossil records. So the meaning of telome, it's defined as a single nerved unit, a single nerved, I want the pen to come out. Okay, now it's out. The single nerved ultimate terminal portion of a dichotomizing axis, okay? So when I say something is V-shaped like this is a dichotomos, means it goes in two directions, one to the left and one to the right, okay? Anything V-shaped direction is dichotomizing, okay? When you see dichotomizing axis, means this is the main axis, okay? From here, you get two directions, okay? So that's why the word dichotomizing axis, all right? Single nerved is just like I have nerves and blood vessels, even plants have nerves. Those are your leaf veins, okay? And inside the leaf vein is what? The xylem and phloem, okay? So it is the single nerve, okay? And then till the tip, means the ultimate terminal portion of a dichotomizing axis. You understand? First of all, we're talking about the veins, okay? So the leaf veins, so the single nerved, then till the tip, which dichotomos in two directions, okay? That is the point of the most distal dichotomy to the tip of a branch, okay? Means at the tip most, where from this tip they will separate into two directions, okay? Now telomes can be two types, that is fertile telomes and sterile telomes. Fertile telomes mean, let's say if this is the telome, on this side suppose there are seeds, okay? Seeds means soris or sporangium, right? And on this side there's nothing, okay? There's nothing. So this is your sterile telome, and the one which has seeds, okay, or soris, is your fertile telome, okay? Okay. So they can group together both fertile or sterile by connecting to form mesomes, okay? To form by connecting their mesomes. Mesomes means single, okay? Single. This one, single dichotomizing, okay? If they connect many, okay? They connect many, this will become a syntelo, okay? Or telome truss, means a branch of many dichotomizing axis. Okay, so let's move on. So here you can see the most primitive pteridophyte, the most primitive fern, which is known as rhinia. And here you can see the dichotomosing axis. You can see, so just one of this is the mesome, okay? And if it ends with this fruit-bearing structure, it is known as fertile telome. And if it doesn't end with the fruit-bearing structure, it is known as sterile telomes, okay? So this, I think from the diagram is clear. Now, let's look at how it happened, okay? Let's look at the process or the procedure. So, the process or the procedure starts from here. These steps are there: overtopping, reduction, planation, syngenesis, curvation. Okay, so let's look in detail. Overtopping means one will outgrow the other. Okay, one will outgrow the other means it's like this. Okay, this is one axis, this one outgrows, it became even longer. Okay, so that is your overtopping. Then reduction, then at the terminal some of them become reduced. Okay, like you see here in this diagram, they were growing equally here. No, here they are growing, one side is growing, overtopping. Here instead of growing further and further, they are reducing in length. This is more, and as you go higher the length is shorter, so that's reduction. Then planation means like a plane, no, like a plane. If you see an aeroplane, the wings are flat, so planation means becoming flat. Okay, means it will develop a plane or a flat webbing in between, and they will look like leaves. Okay, they will look like leaf-like structure, means, and it will behave like a leaf lamina. Okay, suppose this is the dichotomosing, then it becomes flatter. Instead of being round, it becomes flatter and flatter, and then it becomes round. Okay, just like your modern ferns. Okay, they are flat. So there, here you can see the flattening. This is the planation. Okay, the webbing. So syngenesis means fusion. Okay, so what happens is that the sterile will fuse together, and then it will become a complex structure. Okay. Then curvation. Curvation is when there's unequal growth on opposite flanks of the telomes. Okay, means one grows like this, the other one, instead of growing straight, it will go down. Unequal growth, it's going down, so it will curve. Okay, you must have seen some ferns with those curving structure, no? So that is curvation. So you can recurve also, and it can incurve also. Okay, so recurving, inward. Okay, inward it will curve, and incurvation it will bend downwards. Okay, then let's look at how this Telome theory, it applies in many families, in many groups or families of the pteridophytes. Now there are some family or some order known as Psilopsida, then Pteropsida. Okay, Pteropsida, then Sphenopsida, Lycopsida. Okay, then the last is Innation theory. We'll see it later. So here they are explaining how this Telome theory happens in different orders. Okay. So in Psilopsida, you can see, you can use this theory to see the evolution of Xylotum. Okay, Xylotum is it's a pteridophyte. Okay, it's the pteridophyte. You know about Lycopodium, you know about Selaginella. Xylotum, it belongs in the Psilopsida. Okay, Lycopodium belongs in Lycopsida, right? Right. So exactly. So they belong in different orders. Okay. So Xylotum is it's a fern only, but it belongs in a different order. Okay. So here it. Oh my! What happened? 1 second, girls. Okay, so it is just like the rhinia type plant. Okay, then it will follow those step of overtopping, reduction, and then fusion, okay, as you can see in the diagram. You can explain your own words from the diagram. Then Interopsida also, here the stages where you can see they are forming the dichotomosing, then they group, okay, then they shorten, and then they become flat, okay, or planation is happening. So here it becomes like a modern leaf, okay. So in Spenopsida, it is a sporangiate is forming, sporangiophore is forming, which will become peltate, okay. So here curvation is happening, okay. If you notice here, see, this was a straight dichotomizing axis, then here curvation is happening, then as they curve they became flat and like a plate, okay. Then in Lycopsida, here it's what do you see? Is it flattening? It's actually reducing. You can see, here it's very, very complex, very flat and complex. But as we go on, it seems to be getting reduced. So here in Lycopsida, it's following reduction theory. Okay. Then, okay, now looking at Innation theory, it was developed by F.O. Bauer. Innation is more convincing than Telome theory. So, to explain how the leaves came about, okay, how the leaves came about. So, according to this, the leaves, microphyll, when I use the word microphyll means ferns have small teeny tiny leaves, so this is what I mean. So, the small teeny tiny leaves, they were non-vascularized, means they did not have the phloem and the xylem, like I have arteries and veins. So, the arteries and veins of the leaf is phloem and xylem. So, at first they had nothing, okay, no vascular system, as you can see here, nothing. Then there was a spine-like outgrowth, okay. Then what happens was that the vascular system went into the spine-like outgrowth. There it joined there, as you can see in figure C, and then here you can see the spinal outgrowth protrudes until the very tip of the leaf. So that is why all leaves have veins, okay. So you can always explain from the diagram. So these are the significance. So as I told you, what is the main significance? Because of Zimmermann, right? Because of this Telome theory of Zimmermann, we finally know how the plants evolved, okay. Like I told you, we came from Neanderthals, Australopithecus, Homo erectus, now we are Homo sapien. So same, we also need to know how plants evolved. We should know that, right? So we get to know about the evolution of the sporophytes of the earliest plants, okay. So the significance, another significance is that it's based on the fossil as well as the living, okay. So we can see the connection between the living and the non-living plants, okay, means those who died long ago, like the fossils and the living ferns, we can see a direct connection, okay. So these processes of planation, recurving, etc., they give us a simple explanation of how it happened. So it gives us a very simple explanation, from seeing the ferns, we can understand how higher plants, how trees, how the roses, how the marigold, how they evolved. We can correlate, because if we study something simple, we can apply it in a more complex way, So because ferns are way more simpler than trees and, angiosperms, so we can understand. Once we understand the lower plants, how they evolve, we can always understand the higher plants. So there are some other, there are some other, problems which could be solved by understanding this Telome theory. So we could understand the anatomy of some species, we could understand the plant body of some species, we could understand how some species evolved, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you just go through on your own. So with this, I'm done with my syllabus.